Good evening. I am the Reverend Roy Stevens. I'm with the United Riverside Congregational Church. I'd like to share with you some thoughts on this second Sunday of Lent. We are now observing the second Sunday of Lent. We continue our fasting and thoughtful prayers to prepare our bodies, minds, and souls for the upcoming Passion and Resurrection. Let us examine what Paul wrote in his letter to the Romans. Paul was talking about faith. Faith being the key to the kingdom of heaven. God promised to Abraham that he would be the father of many nations. It came to be. But Abraham didn't attain this by the law. Abraham obtained this through faith. For if the law was above faith, then faith would be null and void, and Jesus wouldn't have been sent to us to preach the gospel. In our reading from St. Mark, Jesus told the disciples that he was going to suffer many hardships, including his death, and after 3 days being resurrected from the dead. Peter then went to rebuke Jesus, and Jesus told him to stand behind me, Satan, for you follow with things that are of man, not of God. Jesus then explained that those who are ashamed of him or his teachings in this life, when the time comes for them to be in the presence of God and the angels in heaven, so shall he be ashamed of them. Jesus also told the disciples that the hardships would include being rejected by the Sadducees, Pharisees, and priests. Why did Jesus tell the disciples what is going to happen to him? The reason for this is that Jesus is preparing the disciples for his death and the time that he will no longer be there physically. He is preparing the disciples for the end of his preaching and the time for the disciples to begin their ministries. For Jesus also said that he who loses his life for my sake shall he live. So he is telling the disciples to take heed to what I'm saying, for I won't be here much longer. For as it is written in the Gospel of St. Mark, chapter 2, verses 2 through 9, the transfiguration of Jesus is mentioned again, the point where God and man meet. When we hear the voice of God proclaim, "This is my only Son, the beloved," listen to him. Now is the time for the disciples, as well as ourselves, to take what Jesus has taught and shown us and to bring it into our hearts, for the end time of Jesus' ministry is near. Are we ready to pick up our crosses and follow in Jesus' footsteps? Although in our case, we won't be persecuted for our faith. Well, that's not entirely true. In Iran, there's a Christian minister who was tried by an Islamic court and has been sentenced to death for his belief in Christianity. So it appears that Christians are once again being persecuted for their faith by a religion that is related to Judaism, just as Christianity is related. These same people that are persecuting the Christians and persecuting this Christian and sentencing him to death are the same ones to complain that they are being persecuted because of their religion. I submit that you can't have it both ways. You cannot complain that you are being persecuted for your faith in Islam while persecuting those who are not Muslim. In our own country, Catholics are being persecuted by the Knights of the Ku Klux Klan just because they are Catholic. These misguided Christians don't get what Jesus taught. They have perverted his teachings, saying that their brotherhood is the only way and that God is on their side. But time and time again, they have been proven wrong, that God is not on their side. Our God is not a cruel God. Jesus taught us to love one another, to love our enemies. Just as when Jesus was here with us preaching the good news of the gospel, he said that he would be rejected by the priests and Sadducees and Pharisees. Now Jesus is being rejected again. Jesus and his teachings are included in the Quran, Islam's holy book, only to be perverted by those who follow Islam, and now followers of Jesus are being persecuted yet again. These people who are persecuting Christians or anyone else because of the faith are not of God. These people are listening to Satan, because he knows that a house divided cannot stand. For as it was written in Paul's letter to the Romans that Abraham was the father of many nations, these same nations, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, are at each other's throats strictly due to religious beliefs. So during this season of Lent, as we prepare for the passion and resurrection of Jesus, let us take to heart his teachings and take a stand on the side of our Lord Jesus Christ. Let us uphold his teachings and take on the enemies of God and the works of our enemies, such as bigotry, persecution of people based on faith. Stand witness to the power and glory of God, for with God on our side, we have the best protection that anyone can ask for. Thank you.